Hi students, in today's videos we are going to discuss about our deadlocks in our operating system. So first of all you have to understand what is deadlock, then how it occurs, all of these, what is the conditions of deadlock. Okay, let's go towards our topic. First of all, we are just looking overview, taking overview of our deadlock. In next videos we will go to deep. Okay, first of all, deadlock. What do you mean by deadlock? Okay, what do you mean by a deadlock? Uh, let's assume there is a set of processes. There is a set of processes, and in the set of processes, uh, each process hold some resource and wait for another resources, which resources are held by another process. Okay, what is the condition? First, in a set of processes, a process first hold some resources, then wait for another resources, and these another resources are already held by other processes. This condition called deadlock, because a process can't get all the resources and execute it. Okay, so this condition is called deadlock. Okay, I am drawing some diagrams, it's easier. I have two processes, one is P1, another one is P2. Process P1, process P2, there is a resource R1 and resource R2. Okay, P1 need both the resource R1 and R2 to execute, and P2 need R1 and R2 to execute. Okay, but P1 have R1 and P2 have R2. Okay, and P2 is requesting for R1 and P1 is requesting for R2. Okay, but these resources are held by other processes. Okay, and at a time P2 need R1 and R2 and P1 need R2 and R1. Okay, this condition, P1 never give the R1 and P2 never give the R2. This condition creates a deadlock. Okay, simple. Let's move. There is actually two types of resources. One is our preemptible resources and another one is non-preemptible resources. Okay, first we will discuss non-preemptible resources. What do you mean by non-preemptible? In simple term, if a process have a resource and the process will free the resource or leave the resource after it execute or it willingly. Okay, if the process willingly release its resource, then this resource called non-preemptible resources. Okay, these resources can't be forced out. We can take out the resources forcibly. We can take out the resources forcibly from a process. These are called non-preemptive. Okay, and then here is our preemptive. Okay, what is preemptive? There is a process P1, and if the process has some resources, if we took the resources forcibly from the process, then this type of processes called preemptible resources. This type of resources called preemptible resources. Okay, this is clear. Then history operation. One is request. Request means a process is requesting some resource, and after it get the resource it will execute, then after it execute it will release the resource. Okay, if here is written, if the request cannot be granted immediately, then the requesting process must wait until it can acquire the resource. Okay, if a process requesting some resource and if the resource is busy or the resource can't granted immediately, then the process will wait for some time till it get the resource. Okay, then use the process can operate on the resource. Okay, execute on the resource, then release the process releases the resource. Okay, these are some points or operations. And then here are some conditions, necessary conditions for deadlock. First of all, there is 4 conditions. One is mutual exclusion condition, then hold and wait condition, then non-preemptive condition, and at the last circular wait condition. Okay, let's discuss about our wait from discussing. Before discussing the conditions, let's move towards a graph. This is called a resource allocation graph. This is called resource allocation graph. If a diagram looks like this, means this is our P1, means this is our process. Okay, this is our process. P1 requesting our resource R. Okay, P1 is requesting. If the arrow mark is from process towards the resource, then it is requesting. It is requesting. Okay, if the arrow mark is from process to our resource, then it is requesting. Process to our resource, then it is requesting. Okay, in another, if this is a process, okay, and the resource, the arrow mark is from resource to the process. Okay, then in this case, when the arrow mark is from resource and gone towards our process, then this is called resource is allocated. Okay, resource is allocated to process P1. The resource R is allocated to our P1. Okay, then move towards our conditions. Here is our 2 conditions. One is mutual exclusion. Here is our 4 conditions. One is mutual exclusion condition. First of all, what is mutual exclusion condition? If there are a set of processes, let there are 4 processes, let P1 and P2, 2 processes, then each process must have at least one resource in non-shareable manner. In non-shareable is the main important thing. What do you mean by non-shareable? I am giving some example of the printer. Okay, if you are using a printer and P1 taking some printout, okay, then during the paper is releasing from the printer, you can print immediately. You have to wait till the printer complete the printout. Okay, then you can access the printer. Okay, mutual exclusion actually said this. Mutual exclusion, the resource involved are non-shareable. Okay, this is the explanation. At least one resource must be held in non-shareable mode. This is only one process at a time claims exclusive control of the resource. Okay, if another process requests that resource, the requesting process must be delayed until the resource has been released. Simple. What the explanation saying? At least one process at a time access the resource. Okay, multiple processes can't access at a time, and if another process requests, then the process have to wait. Okay, the process have to wait. Then our second condition, hold and wait. Okay, what is our hold and wait said? Now the process have to first hold some resource, then the process have to wait for another resource. First thing, the process have to hold some resource, then the process have to wait for other resources. 2 things. Okay, let's read some explanations. A requesting process hold already the resource while waiting for requested resource. Okay, explanation, there must exist a process that is holding a resource already allocated to it while waiting for additional resource that are currently being held by the other process. Okay, this is important. Additional resources that are currently being held by another process. Okay, what is doing? Holding some resources a process holding some resources and waiting for another resource, additional resources that are currently being held by other process, that are currently allocated to another processes. Okay, then our non-preemptive condition. Then non-preemptive condition. Okay, what is non-preemptive condition? I already told non-preemptible resource. This is related to our non-preemptive resource. Okay, resources already allocated to a process cannot be preempted. Okay, those resources which are already allocated, we can't force them to release. We can force the process to release the process. Okay, then resource cannot be removed from the process, are used to completion or release voluntarily by the process holding it. Okay, if the process wish, then it will release the resource willingly. Okay, after the completion, not we can force out the resource. Okay, then here is a circular weight condition. What is circular weight condition? Let's drawing the diagram. Well, I am already discussed P1 and P2. Okay, then here is our R1. What do you mean by this arrow? Resource to our process. What do you mean by this arrow? Means the resource is allocated to P1. Then there is another resource R2. And what do you mean by this arrow? This is R2 is allocated to our process P2. Then arrow from P2 to R1 means P2 requesting R1, and this arrow from P1 to R2 means P1 to R2 means the P1 process is requesting R2. Okay, this is looks like a cyclic manner. Okay, this is looks like a cyclic manner. This is looks like a cycle. Okay, this condition is called circular weight condition. Okay, circular weight condition. Okay, first our P1 is holding a process R1, then requesting for R2. Similar types of. Okay, let's read the explanation. The processes in the system processes in the system form a circular list or chain where each process in the list is waiting for a resource held by the next process in the list. There exists a set P0 P1 P0 P1 means set of processes of the waiting process, such as P0 is waiting for a resource that is held by P1, then P1 is waiting for a resource that is held by P2. That's like, okay, if these conditions are met, then the deadlock definitely occur. If these conditions don't meet, then deadlock can't be occurred. Okay, we will discuss in our next videos deep about our deadlocks, like our deadlock avoidance, deadlock detection. Here is some deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance, then deadlock detection, deadlock, the ostrich approach, all this. Okay, we will discuss in our next videos. Thank you.